this, you just put a clamp here. We tried to nail these before, but there's very little wood here. And when you shoot the nail, it usually countersinks it goes through.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're good. All right. More screws, or we can take off the clamps?
You feel it. Vast white surface.
Yeah.
He was thinking this gray was going to be much darker.
So 200 pounds. All right, we cut it with the...
Got it?
So we're building 12 of these benches and countertops from Microjig. This is my class working on these. So I've used the panel saw to cut the pieces, table saw to rip pieces to width, panel saw to rip and cross-cut pieces for the countertop and the apron. Cut things with a track saw, break the sheets down because the sheets are like 200 pounds. They're 4 by 8, 2 layers of MDF, 2 layers of laminate. Like I said, 12 people working on these and looking at all the plans, figuring it out. Here I'm showing how we're going to make the legs for the bases of the tabletops on the table saw. We did, it showed a rabbet joint. We also showed a miter joint done on the table saw. I have a video that shows this. This is just how we were working on this table saw. This is making the jig to cut the grooves for the router to track in according to the plans. We had to break down 6 sheets. So here we're starting to do this. Someone's doing the Lake Havasu. Rick's working on this. I went over there. We're doing 11 of them in California and one of them in Arizona. So we're breaking down stuff in his shop, and we're using the Microjig router base that we probably bought 12 of these between all the students. Some people bought two routers. And this jig is awesome. It puts them about, the grooves about every 4 inches on center. It has, you start on the edge and you drop the piece in, and it spaces them out 4 inches. You use a 1/4 inch straight bit first, then you go back and you put a dovetail bit in. So Rick bought 2 of the bases, so we set up 2 routers to do that. So you work from the outside in, and then with the dovetail bit, you work from the inside out. And then I'm making a tabletop that's going to be 5 feet by 5 feet. And I'm just putting 3 grooves around the edges. I'm going to round the corners and make a bigger base. Mine will be more of a workbench. I didn't need the dovetail slots all the way around it. So I left the center open. I could put bench dogs or something else in there. So it's just another view of doing this. I'm only doing one of them, so this is the same top. But we did find that there was a lot of adjustment that needed to be done in setting it up. We did try it one way and didn't work. At one point the router bit came loose. So this is just going back over. We did find that having a vacuum and cleaning out the grooves, this is our third groove doing them. On this top, it's got 3 grooves on each side, so about every 4 inches, 8 inches, 12 inches. And then here Rick's got his top. He painted the trim to match the laminate top, and we're just gluing that and clamping that on there. Before he does the grooves, you need to put the trim around it. The trim's going to save some time on not damaging the laminate. So if you put the trim around it, the laminate's not going to get damaged. So here we're using the router table, no, the router jig that are made to do the edges. Some did these vertical, some did them horizontal. I prefer to do them on the horizontal side because if you let the router get tipped here. Chuck bought 2 of these bases, he bought 2 routers, and he's doing the 1/4 inch straight bit first, and he's chasing it with the dovetail bit. So he's cutting all the 1/4 inch slots first, and then he has another router, another base that has a dovetail bit. And this is for the apron or the trim to go around. pieces around the top that get this, and then there's some pieces that go around the vertical piece, the clamping vertical, that is 2.5 inch and a half, this is inch and a half, inch and 3/4 by 5 inches, and I'm cutting all the vertical slots on this, and then I'm going to be doing some the horizontal ones with the router table and table saw. So here Jason's using the router table to cut the horizontal slots. We did chase these with the dado blade first, and we cut the two 1/4 inch grooves roughly with the dado blade on the table saw, and now we're chasing that with the dovetail bit. The only advantage to that is it saves some life on the router bit. When you cut the grooves, dados with the table saw first, you did that with the router also, but we need to lift the grain, and I just always do the same thing you do on the table saw. So here you just gotta push it through slowly, the dovetail bit, lift up in the middle of the cut. Jason's pushing this through, and you have to do 2 of these at each board, and 3 of the boards on the apron, the 2 sides on the end. There you can see that he's got the 2 grooves, all the horizontal grooves. He's working on the next piece now. That part is obviously a little noisy, so definitely wear a protection and safety glasses when doing this. And you might want to push block or push stick when you get your hands out of the way. So you don't get surprised by that dovetail blade. But it is very loud, so wear hearing protection when you're doing this. Getting help to support the piece as it comes off the router table would be very useful. Or having some type of a support. Here you can see the grooves again. We also did the grooves this way. We used the Festool MFT table, multi-function table. We set up 2 of the Festool 1400 routers, and we made a jig for that. Here we're using the table saw with the dado blade to cut the groove in the apron pieces. So we set the fence, I think, 1.5 inches, a little bit wider than a 1/4 inch dado blade in there, and ran both sides of this on all the pieces. And this just really helped with the tear out that we would have got with the router table, because when the router bit goes through there, and sometimes it's not firmly on the grain, so this was just a way to prevent tear out and chipping that we would have got most likely with the router table. And here you can see both grooves cut, and we do need to go chase that, which we already showed, chasing that on the router table. Just got to do 1 more board and do both passes on that. So this just speeds up the process if you can use the table saw. You could do it with the router table, or an edge guide with the handheld router. So there's many different ways of doing this particular part. You can see we're all done with that. Looks good. Now let's move on to showing how the clamps fit in there. There's a big variety of clamps that you can use with this. And this is the taller one that has the green pad, so you can do, it's like a V-groove in it. You'll have clamp and push things forward, or clamp around things, and it's taller. Here's an assortment of the different hardware you can buy for this, and some other clamps that you can use. These are newer. It's probably not the safest method to stand up on the bench to cut this. The panel saw was a big advantage. We could have done it also with the track saw or the table saw. So here, setting up the MFT table, clamping those. We have a backup board behind it, so to help reduce the splintering or tear out. So here's the finished project. This is just one. We didn't complete all the projects on the time. We have 4 days in these so far. We still have 11 more to go. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and follow. Thank you.